Hey guys, welcome to Trust in the Drive podcast, episode 3. In this episode, you're going to get to hear me use the word amazing way too many times. And it's because I have my main man, Ricky Hardin, over here, our parts advisor here at Ilderton Dodge. And he's going to do a deep dive on parts. And really, we want to get into tires and how important they are for your vehicle. And we're also going to touch a little bit on our community partners, the High Point Police Department, and how amazing they do of a job for our community. So again, I'm excited to share with y'all today all the great news we have, and let's get after it. I want to introduce our guest today, Ricky Hardin. Ricky, welcome.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. So Ricky, tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me what do you do at the dealership?
So I work in the parts department.
How did you get involved with the parts department or the automotive world?
So my first job was actually at CarMax, and I worked there for about 5 years. Spent 2.5 years doing some inventory stuff, 2.5 years doing some parts stuff, and then was actually recruited by one of your former parts managers while I was working there, and been with y'all ever since. Been there for about 6.5, 7 years now.
Sweet. So y'all, Ricky is one of the best workers I have. He is very dependable. I feel honored every time I'm with him. He's my go-to guy. Anytime I need anything to know about parts, Ricky's my guy. So he's on my speed dial in the office. You know, just type in 204 and Ricky's going to pick up. So anyways, so tell us a little bit about what's your favorite thing to do when you're with your wife. And you're married, right?
Yep. Been married, be 10 years this year. I got married young. So to
Congratulations.
A wonderful girl named Sarah that I met in high school. So no kids, but we do have a niece that we love spending time with. She's my world. Just recently bought a camper, so we do a lot of that on the weekends, a lot of spending the time at the beach.
Husband of 10 years.
Yep.
That's a big deal.
10 years, yep.
So I aspire to be a husband of 10 years one day.
Yeah, love at first sight. It's a real thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
I see you all the time, like posting about all your cool adventures. I know your wife's got some things she does on the side. She likes to sell some clothing, and she's got a cool business that she runs. All right, cool. So what about you got any other big hobbies? I know you have a truck you work on. You got a couple.
So I have an old 1974 Ford F100 that I got when my dad passed away when I was about 15. Was his everyday truck. I've tinkered with it, put a little bit of my personal touch on it.
I saw that you did like the wooden bed.
So it's got a wooden bed. It's been put on airbags, some big wheels and stuff like that. Converted it to fuel injection. So that's kind of what I tinker with and drive around on the weekends and try to go to some car shows and stuff like that, hang out.
Yeah. It's like a lot of folks in the car business, I think, are just like, it's like a culture type of deal. Like you got to love it. You got to be a part of it. You got to love putting new parts on it, accessorizing your vehicle, and all that kind of comes with the like customer effect of it, where you've also been a customer when you're kind of buying a part and fitting your truck up and getting everything dialed in. So it's cool to see you're in both worlds, and so am I. Like I love vehicles so much. Okay, so I want to move forward a little bit and talk about the parts department. So that's like your realm. I do a little bit of service and parts as the service and parts director, but I rely heavily on the parts department. So tell me, what is the parts department?
So we basically source and supply all the parts for the dealership to repair customer vehicles, internal used cars, even new cars if they come in damaged or needing something. Supplies for cleanup, all kinds of stuff like that. So
And there's like a particular brand of parts that like you as a parts advisor are kind of really promoting, and that is Mopar. Mopar, baby.
Yep, that's
Love
it. Mopar, no car.
That's right. So Mopar, if everyone knows, is like a branch of Stellantis or Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, and they are the whole parts division that's the supply chain for any of those make and models that Stellantis has. And so with Mopar, it comes with a warranty, which is a big seller, and like just the brand itself. So like, how do you, let's talk about being a parts advisor. Like somebody tries to ask you about a part, and then you use Mopar as a brand to kind of help sell the part a little bit, right?
Yep, the quality and the warranty. And just we can stand behind that part. I can't stand behind anything I get from down the road, or I don't know where that's coming from, but I know the parts I sell that we get from Stellantis and from Mopar are going to be quality parts that we can rely on.
Quality parts is a big deal because we have these customers that rely on these parts, and the last thing we want them to do is have the part fail, after we've installed it. So, and on the big Mopar sign, it says, quality parts,
Yep.
and that's something that we're always trying to drive. So it's nice to be able, as a dealer, stand behind, a well-branded, a quality part that's going to be reliable for the customer. And Mopar does that. I mean, they're hot on it with the supply chain, which we're going to get into a little bit more. The way that he orders it, you can see like every part in the country, can't you?
Yeah, I can look up any part number you give me. I can see, the weekly demand. I can see the pipeline on it, what's coming in, what's on back order, what warehouses have what other dealers have anything that I can
Right.
source. If I can't order it, I can get it from somebody else.
Yeah, the dealer network
Yep.
is sweet. Like, dealers try to take care of each other because they know that
Yep.
if we're taking care of the customer, we're doing the right thing. And pretty much every dealer that I know that we want to work with,
Yep.
because we can choose what dealer we want to work with. We wants to take care of the customer, especially if their vehicle's off the road. If
Yep.
they're not on the road, we got to kind of put a little bit more urgency on it. And that's where, as a parts advisor, that's what Ricky does. Like, he's parts counter. He's on the parts team, and he is constantly trying to support all of the staff that need parts. So okay, what else does a parts advisor do?
And we help, like I said, the technicians, wholesale customers. We have other shops that do work on cars that we have to supply parts for.
How many parts do you manage?
On average, probably somewhere around $400,000, but just, it dips and comes up depending on stock and demand, and upwards of, $500,000 sometimes.
So you're telling me right now at Ilderton Dodge, there is over $500,000 worth of parts that we hold,
Yes, sir, probably. Yep.
stocking it up,
Yep.
ready to roll for the customer.
Yep.
So when they pull in and they ask, do you have this part? We normally got it.
Yes, that's the plan.
That's the plan,
That's
at
it.
least.
That's what we try our best to do.
And you have like certain like algorithms and certain techniques that you use to make sure you have those parts in stock.
Yep.
So it's not just like a guess. Like, when I first started working at the car dealership, I almost thought like it was like the stock market, where I was like, oh, like we're guessing,
Right.
which, what part is going to be needed when, and it's not like that at all.
No.
It's a complete game plan that these guys have put together that they're always, looking to take advantage so that they can have the part ready for the customer, because that's probably the most annoying thing for a customer who comes in and they want to get their car fixed.
Yep,
And
absolutely.
something's not available. So, like, what happens? And we don't have to go too far down this road, but like, talk about COVID a little bit and how much of a struggle the supply chain was.
It still is, really.
Still is?
There's still a bunch of stuff we can't get. Anything with microchips in them and stuff like that, hard to get. But just shut down a lot of stuff. Even if it was being made, it was being, stuck on a ship somewhere, stuck on a container. Couldn't get it. I mean, it puts a lot of strain on not just us, but the customer and, the people working on the vehicles and the service advisors.
Yeah.
It's just it's a big deal.
It is tough. So I'll emphasize how great it is to be a dealer where you have other dealers kind of supporting each other. So we weighed really heavily on asking for like, M&L and some other dealers like North Point. A big shout out to those guys, where if they had a part on the shelf that was going to be able to fix our customer's car, they were willing to give it to us, and we'd go pick it up and fix their car for them.
Yep, it's one big game of give and take.
Exactly.
We don't, they're a competition, but if we need something to fix a car, we need the part. Same with them. You gotta give a little bit to get a little bit. So
yeah, and it all stands behind that whole thing with, okay, these people are going to be taking care of the customer, and that's what's most important. It's amazing what Stellantis has set up for us as far as like, if the parts advisor knows what they're doing, they can literally see and access all the parts in the entire country.
Yep.
And if they have the ability to call that other dealer, and that other dealer is willing to participate, they will actually give us the part or trade us the part or sell us the part.
Yep.
And usually it's at the same cost, so that cost isn't actually passed on to the customer. And so what Ricky will do is he'll call around and he'll get the part taken care of. What about when a dealer doesn't have the part and the manufacturer doesn't have the part? And then what do you do?
unfortunately, that does happen sometimes. we don't like for it to happen, but usually we'll have to go down the road. And we have a couple local aftermarket vendors that we use, and we have really good working relationships with them. So we're able to get some of the things we need from them as well.
Yeah, so big shout out Napa.
Yep.
We have used them. And they stand behind their products pretty well too. I know they have a great warranty, and so we do trust some aftermarket vendors, and that's just what it is. It's just taking care of the customer and making sure you have trusted vendors, and that's really what Ricky likes to do. Okay, so in the last 2 years, have you seen also a shortage of technicians?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
Absolutely.
now how does that affect Ricky?
It's killer, man. Not just me; it affects the whole dealership. So if I'm getting all these parts, which is great, but if we don't have people to put them on and diagnose these vehicles, then nobody's happy. Customers' cars aren't getting fixed. Nobody's making any money. Yeah,
No.
even sales. I mean, if they're selling a car, someone's got to do a final PDI on it to sell it. If we don't have technicians that can do that, we can't sell cars.
Yeah.
People buy cars on the weekends and they need things, and it's just it hurts everybody.
Yeah, newsflash. Christopher Ilderton does not know how to fix an actual car. Like, he is not a trained technician. So, I think at one point didn't even know what a gasket was. And a lot of people were surprised at that. But at the same time, it's like the truth in the matter is we rely and we trust that the technician is going to be there and be reliable and be trained enough to fix these cars. And when that technician is not there, then we're really in trouble.
Oh yeah.
We have to always take care of the technician. The technician is vital to the success of the parts department and to the whole dealership. Also, I want to talk about tires. And the reason why I want to talk about tires is I want to bring awareness to literally everyone that a Chrysler dealer or Stellantis dealer, really Ilderton Dodge, we put a huge emphasis and a lot of effort into stocking the right kind of tires for the vehicle and having the right tires available and educating the customer on the tires, and then also having the best prices on the tires. Tires are so important for your vehicle. I know that as a consumer, and I also brought Ricky, though, here to really talk about how it is his role at the dealership to educate the customer and educate our staff, because even some of our staff members don't know exactly what tire is best for the vehicle. But Ricky's an expert Mopar, parts advisor. So, Ricky, what is talk about tires? What's your experience and knowledge about tires?
So I mean, a lot of people kind of underestimate how important they are. They're obviously you drive on them every day.
Yeah.
But it's also what helps with stopping. In the rain, any kind of bad conditions you're driving in. They're really one of the most important things on the vehicle. I mean, you're a runner. You're into running. You wouldn't run a marathon in Crocs, would you?
I would not run a marathon in Crocs. I have yet to run a marathon in Crocs. Every time I go running, though, I am dead set on making sure I got the right shoes on.
Yeah.
Because I know how important it is for me to have the right shoe on, because it's going to make my body probably feel better, and it's going to give me a lot more distance, a lot better time when I'm running. My body's going to feel way more comfortable while I'm running, especially if I'm running like 13 to 26 miles at a time. And, I know I put a lot of miles on my car. I drive my car all over the place.
Yep. You want that confidence. So, You want to be able to be confident in what you got on. So
yeah, and sometimes I want them to look cool
there
too.
You go.
You know, that's important.
Yep.
I know I have a truck that's lifted and it's got some, BF Goodwrench KO2s on it that my man Ricky here hooked me up with. He made a recommendation on them and they worked out amazing. They had a great ride. So, all right. So tires, you're telling me just don't need to look cool.
Oh no, there's a lot of other information that goes into selecting the right tire.
Yeah. And what I see a lot is the tire size on the side of the tire, which is something I'm pretty familiar with. Okay. But also when it comes to like maybe the speed rating, like what is the speed rating of a tire?
So every tire has or not every tire. Every tire does have a speed rating, but the speed rating is different for vehicles, just depending on what speed they're capable of reaching.
Okay.
And you just want to make sure that whatever tire you have has the correct speed rating, to support your vehicle.
So you're telling me there's like a per vehicle type of tire, maybe like a VIN number that is associated with tires.
Exactly. Yeah, you can. Yeah, you should be able to look up what your vehicle came with from the factory online. So see the minimum speed and load ratings and stuff like that, and then you'll always be able to see the speed rating of the tires you're looking at to make sure they match.
So if I'm like, man, I want to go fast.
Yeah.
I want to be a race car driver.
Right.
That speed rating is important. Like if I had like a Dodge Challenger, a Dodge Charger, and I'm trying to rip it up.
Exactly.
All right. So what about like the load index? Maybe I got a big Ram 3,500 and I use it as a work truck. Like, what does the load index mean?
So the load index kind of works like the speed rating does. It scales and just indicates how much weight the tire can support.
Okay, really?
Yep. So obviously you would need a stronger tire for a 1500 or a 2500 or a 3500 compared to like a Dart or a Chrysler 200 or a small passenger car or something like
So
that.
if you're running your camper, up to the beach, you're going to make sure you got the right kind of load index for that heavy camper that you're towing with your truck.
Correct.
That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. All right. So now the big thing I think a lot of consumers are aware of, or they think they're aware of, is the tread wear.
Yep.
Now that's really important too. Tell me about the tread wear.
Yep. So a lot of people kind of just base their tires off of brand, what they prefer. But something along with the size that you can look at in the load and speed ratings are the tread wear, and that just indicates how long a tire will last. So it usually starts at 100 and then scales up to sometimes 700, 800, and just the higher the rating, the harder the tire, the longer it lasts.
Okay.
And there's some trade-offs. A softer tire is gonna ride better, maybe have less noise, but it's not gonna last as long.
Okay.
So a harder tire may last longer, but you may have some more road noise than a lower rated tire, or it'll ride harder, so it won't ride as nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of mystery kind of behind it, like which brand is the best brand, and I think that's why it's really important for you to go to your parts department or your service advisor that's your certified dealer or certified supplier of like Bridgestone or Goodyear, and they're going to give you the best case scenario for what you're trying to accomplish with your vehicle. All right, so I'm a big fan of this, because I always think of like if you ever go to like Publix or if you ever go to Walmart, you get a shopping cart and you're going down the aisles trying to get stuff for the grocery store, and then that one wheel is like kind of kinked to the side a little bit, and it's just like it's jamming you up the whole time you're there. How important are alignments to the vehicle?
Super important. If your vehicle is out of alignment, then it can cause premature tire wear, and I mean it's just spending that little bit of money to have that alignment checked and maybe done may save you more money in the long run, so you're not just prematurely having to replace tires.
Yeah. Shout out, Ilderton Dodge gives free alignment checks to anybody, because we know how important it is to educate the customer, on like that wear, whether their inner tires wearing or their outer tires wearing, or maybe their tire doesn't have enough air in it. There's lots of tools that the dealer uses to make sure that the customer leaves the dealership with all the correct tire pressure, the alignment, and just making the customer aware of how important it is.
Absolutely.
So, all right. So kind of give me, I know you guys have a lot of work to do. It can get stressful. Yep. I get pretty demanding. I know I'm always, calling and relying on you guys. What do y'all do to get, to keep the work ethic up?
We just, we play a lot of music.
Okay. 98.7, right? Shout out.
Plays everything.
The Simon,
that's
dude.
it. Play a lot of pranks on each other, mess with each other, just trying to keep it light, try to keep everybody kind of in a good mood. So
yeah, one time I walked into the parts department and literally Ricky and John were both wearing these like rainbow hats with like little spinners on them, and I just immediately just started laughing, and I go back to parts sometimes really just to kind of like take a deep breath, because sometimes the dealership world can get a little stressful, and you guys have always kept it light. I know one time you pulled a prank on your parts manager.
Oh, yeah.
How did you prank your parts manager?
So we had like an outside salesman come in. And
oh, yeah, like a vendor, because there's always vendors trying to come and sell y'all stuff, right?
Yep, and nothing against salesmen, but, sometimes you don't have time, or you don't want to talk to that salesman that day or whatever. Yeah. So walked out to the retail counter. Salesman asked for parts manager Jamie. And I thought, I'm going to get him this time. This is it. So I walk back inside and I tell Jamie there's a customer at the counter that specifically asked for him. That's all he wants to deal with.
Yeah, it'll be like, it's our most important customer, like High Point Police Department. They're here to buy some parts or something. He'll kind of give them that. And Jamie's all like, okay, I'm gonna go take care of this customer. Yep. And then he walks out there, and what does he find?
Tire salesman.
So now Jamie has to sit there and listen to the rep give a spiel. And y'all are just sitting back there chuckling.
Yes, sir.
That's awesome, man. I love to hear that.
That's
yeah. Those guys know how to keep it light. I love going back there. What do you think is some of your your best customers. So you do a little bit of wholesale stuff.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll kind of back up a little bit. Do you do wholesale parts?
Yeah, we do wholesale parts. Not a ton, but we do sell a little bit of it.
All right, and like one of our big wholesale partners that we sell to is the City High Point.
Yes.
We love selling
Yep.
parts
We
to
supply
them.
the Fleet Garage with all their parts for their Chargers. And,
Yeah. Those
Chrysler
guys are great
vehicles.
to work with.
They are. They're awesome.
Yeah, and you know, I also want to say like it's so important for them to be able to access the parts too, because we want to keep their vehicles on the road.
Absolutely,
You know?
absolutely. They're keeping us safe, so we do our best to try to provide the parts to keep them safe while they're out in their vehicles doing their job. So
Yeah. All right. So you obviously know a ton about parts, and that had to have started somewhere though. Like at what point were you in high school or were you in middle school? Like, what did you want to be, growing up?
yeah, it just kind of circles back around to when I was younger. Spent a lot of time with my dad, who was always tinkering with cars. Friends growing up whose dads had vehicles. Spent a lot of time at the racetrack with race cars and stuff like that. So I was just kind of always messing with them, and then I always just liked the idea of helping people. So I wanted to try to get into something like that. So I kind of wanted to be a police officer when I was younger.
Nice. So I know. What's your favorite? Who's your favorite NASCAR driver?
Right now Kevin Harvick, but
Kevin
he's
Harvick.
getting ready to retire. So
He's on the road ready to win. Do you think he wears Crocs to the racetrack to race in his car?
probably not.
Nah, he's ready to compete, man. He wants
it.
the best of the best.
That's it.
I bet Kevin Harvick has a really good parts manager that makes sure he has all of his parts on stock because he's ready to win. So yeah, I know you are so helpful, and that bone in your body has never I've never not had that. You literally are serving everybody in the community, whether they need parts from the retail side or whether it's like intercompany.
Yep.
You're always ready to help, and I'm just so grateful and thankful for you and that attitude that you have and that energy that you bring. It just makes our dealership whole. It really picks us up, especially. When you have like an angry customer or something, and we'll dabble a little bit into that, but not too much. Like, do you have like any methods that you use to like kind of like take care of a customer, or what happens if an angry customer calls?
Just patience and understanding, man. I being into cars, I've seen it from the other side. I've needed parts, and I've not been able to get them, or I've gotten the wrong part, and it's just. I know how hard it can be being on both sides of it, so I just kind of look at it from their shoes and just try to understand them.
Yeah. I do. I do want folks to know out there that we do have like empathy for them, and we do care, and we want to do. We're always trying the best that we can to get them what they need, and sometimes it doesn't always go the way they want, and you have to end up talking to them. And Ricky always does a great job of giving his best effort, and literally everyone I know that works with Ricky just loves him to death. So I want to transition a little bit though. You're kind of an industry leader when it comes to knowledge about what's going on in the Stellantis, Jeep, Dodge, Ram world. Let's talk about batteries. So we got electric cars.
Yep.
Those are kind of a big deal now. What is a battery considered a part?
Yeah, it's definitely a part.
Yeah.
It's going to be a more common part here, I think, in the near future as well. So
we were in the shop the other day replacing a battery, and I noticed that you were using a forklift to lift this battery. Now, I know our forklift can lift 5,000 pounds, so I was immediately shocked about this forklift being used to lift this battery up. How heavy are batteries?
They range. This particular battery was about 500 pounds.
Wow.
But we've put some in that are over 1,000 pounds. So they get up there.
So we're all kind of learning a little bit about these batteries every day. And the one thing I've noticed that I think is like they're big, they're heavy, they're large, they kind of take up room in the shop.
Yep.
The shop that we have was built in the 1940s. And we have literally redesigned our shop to accommodate these electric vehicles so that we can store these batteries, we can install these batteries in a proper way. And I think it's been a little bit of a challenge for some dealers, but I'm really proud of our team for the challenges that they've overcome. And like what happens like when a dead battery, like say we have to recycle a battery or the battery's bad, like what do you do with them?
So after we install the new battery and get the old one out, we just repackage it. include like a scan report or something like that, and we have to send it back to the manufacturer, and they're actually the ones that recycle them or remanufacture them to be used again.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a big business down the road is refurbished batteries. Maybe, Napa or somebody aftermarket is going to be reselling these batteries because they've got some worth left into them, but they just don't work for the particular vehicle at that time. And and what I've noticed too is that these manufacturers who are making the batteries, they're kind of putting a good warranty on them.
Yep.
What's a normal warranty on a battery?
I believe somewhere in the range of like 8 years, and then somewhere 100,000 to 120,000
Wow,
miles,
that's
something like that.
that's a long time.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've replaced some batteries that are almost 7 to 8 years old. So I think going down the road, we're going to be replacing some more batteries, and so we'll be facing some more challenges there with how heavy they are and how big they are, and hopefully we can just continue to be safe, putting them in and out of the cars in a professional manner, so that the car doesn't get damaged or the old battery doesn't get damaged. And that's what you do. You got the forklift, you got all the equipment to get that battery in and out. Okay, so this is another take that I have, and a lot of this knowledge is unknown because we just don't have enough data on it. But so you got a heavy battery, so the vehicle's a little bit heavier that's on an electric vehicle. And my thought is these tires that are taking this load index that we talked about, and I think the tires are wearing a lot faster on electric vehicles. Have you seen that ever? Or do you think that's possible?
Yeah, it's definitely a thing. The electric vehicles are heavier. Also, a lot more torque is being put out by the electric engines in them, and a lot of them are all-wheel drive. So you're seeing a lot more wear, or quicker wear, should I say, and just from the weight and just the torque on the tires. You'll probably start seeing, if they haven't already, some of these tire manufacturers designing and coming out with electric vehicles, specific tires.
And that's the kind of information that you get updated with constantly, is these tire manufacturers are staying in touch with the dealers. They're making sure the parts counter people know and the parts advisors know what's the best tire to go on these electric vehicles. And they're just the professionals, man. You're the professional. We're relying on you to give us the right equipment to make sure our car runs right.
Absolutely.
And you're vital to the success of that car getting down the road, going to the beach.
There you go.
Yeah, man. Well, great. So again, Ricky, thank you so much. I do, one more time, I want to give a huge shout out to the High Point Police Department. They keep our community so safe. They have an amazing crew that they work with. They work with us as far as keeping their vehicles fleet. And just as a fixed ops director, they put so much effort into keeping their vehicles up to date and keeping them safe, keeping the officers safe, keeping all the people that are driving around them safe. I'm just so appreciative of everything that the High Point Police Department does, and you have a great relationship with all the guys over there in the fleet management side.
Yep.
So thank you, High Point Police Department, for all that you do for us and our amazing community in High Point. So, and again, guys, this is an amazing podcast. We want to update everyone in the community about how important it is to take care of your car. And Ricky right here is a piece of that puzzle. And again, thank you so much for your time today and the Trust in the Drive podcast.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Yeah, man.